Are you wondering about the best way that you can deal with bald spots? Are you worried that maybe someone is looking at your hair and seeing bald spots on your scalp? Well, I'm here to help with that. I'm here to give you insight on how you can get your scalp as healthy as possible and get your hair growing and fill in those bald spots. This is Dr. Dwella Moten Nelson, your healthy scalp specialist. So let's talk about three different areas or three different kinds of balding, okay? I think it's best that we start there, and that way we can differentiate just a little bit more. When you start to bald, people say, oh, my hair is thinning, or oh, I'm getting bald spots, or I'm seeing my scalp through my hair, and they don't know if it's alopecia. They don't know if it's baldness that is caused by medication or caused by stress. They don't know if it's caused by diet. So there's so many different things that can cause your hair to start to thin. Age as well. So let's talk about first bald spots. Like if you're seeing bald spots, some things that may have happened is tension alopecia. It's basically when your hair is pulled too tight in an area and it just pulls the hair right out of the scalp. And so that hair, when you have tension alopecia, is quite easy to grow back. Normally that hair we can grow back within 30 to 45 days. We'll start to get a little bit of ground cover. And then within 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months, we'll start to really see that hair beef up. And then that area that was once bald because of tension alopecia, we can normally fill that in. That's not necessarily damage to the scalp. It just means that the hair has been pulled out of the scalp. Okay, so that's one type of balding. The second type of balding is when you have male pattern baldness, or you have sections of your hair that are bald and no hair is growing, and that scalp is very slick. You don't see any hair follicles. You don't even see your pores if you were to look at your scalp. Those types, both the male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness, as well as the lesions that you might see, are considered more so alopecia. Those things can be hereditary. That type of balding can be hereditary. It's often quite difficult to treat. It can last for a very long time. There is no age that's specific to when it might start. Children can have alopecia all the way up to elderly people can have alopecia. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Anyone can have alopecia, that type of balding. So this is the second type of balding that we'll talk about. The third type is just when all of your hair over your entire head feels a lot thinner. So what I'll hear from moms who have had kids, a lot of us have postpartum issues, hormonal issues. We have postpartum depression. There's postpartum hair loss as well. I've heard many moms say, before I had my kids, my ponytail, when I put it into a rubber band, was really thick. And now, it's so thin. My ponytail is so small when I pull it together. And so that is more of a sign of your hair thinning all over your head. And so that's a completely different issue. So hair has a growth cycle. So it has a cycle that starts, it has a middle and an end. And so oftentimes your hormone levels, medications, your stress level can cause your hair cycle to reach the end of its cycle much faster than it usually would. And so that's when you start to see your hair is falling. So when you're in the shower, you see a lot of hair on the floor that's shedded, or you're combing your hair over the sink and you look down in the sink and you see a lot of hair in the sink. It normally is more specific to your health. It could be your diet that you're eating. It could be medications. It could be hydration. You definitely need to be more hydrated. All of those things could potentially cause your hair to thin all over your head. So I hope that kind of lumps things into little buckets to help us to be able to characterize a little bit better. The question was, how do you deal with bald spots? So we're specifically going to talk about more so bald spots as opposed to thinning all over the hair. So bald spots would be either like tension alopecia, where the hair has been pulled out by styling or pulled out by wig glue, something like that. We'll also talk about alopecia, which is where it's more hereditary. With like tension alopecia, or when the hair has been pulled out, the way that we would treat that is the first thing we would do is to go in and make sure that we analyze the scalp and make sure that the scalp is as healthy as possible. If the hair has been pulled out, sometimes you see these little white pustules that are there, little bumps that'll show up. And that's just little areas that the scalp has been irritated. They're starting to get some bacterial growth. That little white material that you see there is normally bacterial growth. And so you want to make sure that you clean those areas where that hair has been pulled out really gently. That scalp will be very, very tender to the touch. Sometimes it will be red. I would not recommend you put anything on that scalp at all until that scalp is healthy. So some people see the hair come out and then they want to immediately go and put something on that scalp. You don't want to do that, because when you pull that hair out from the scalp, that scalp is now experienced trauma to the scalp. And so you want to make sure that area has healed completely before you start putting anything on that scalp. So just keeping it clean, making sure that you're washing it once or twice a week. You don't want to wash it every day and scrub it every day, because it could make it more irritated and can even bleed if you scrub too vigorously. So you want to make sure that you keep it clean, keep that area dry. You don't want to add anything, no pomades. You don't want to add any kind of serums, anything to that scalp, until the scalp looks very, very healthy. No pustules, no redness, no irritation. After the scalp is healthy, then you can move forward to looking at what types of treatments that you might want to do to the scalp to try to get your hair to come back in. What do we use when we've gone through tension alopecia, or, I think I have some pictures that we'll link as well. I had tension alopecia where the right side of my hair was completely pulled out by a crochet braid style. And today my hair, I'm taking a break from my wigs, but I have my hair in a curly style. This is just a twist out. I used No Flake Twist and Style cream, and this is actually it's 3 weeks old. So I just retwisted at night. But I love kind of taking a break between styles, because I can really look at the condition of my hair. I can look and see if it's curly. I can look and see if I need to add moisture to it. So just looking at this picture here, you're able to see there's definition, but it's not flaky. I only used the No Flake Twist and Style once, and then I retwist it with like just a conditioning mousse at nighttime to get this definition and to maintain this style for 3 weeks. But I think taking a break in between is really good. So when you start to, clean your scalp, make sure it's nice and healthy. And then once it's nice and healthy, what you want to do is you want to, if you're not allergic to sulfur, I'll just preface with that. What I use to grow my edges back is called Alopecia Repair Balm. There's a hair growth kit, and that's from Dr. TopicOils. We'll link that for you as well. But it comes with a dermal roller. It comes with a scalp detox. It comes with a pomade that is just packed full of all types of yummy vitamins for the scalp and for the hair, to get the hair to grow, and also has sulfur in it. So those things all together really help to fortify the scalp, fortify the hair follicle, and help the hair to be able to grow in and fill in really nicely. And so I also will link my before and afters. It took me about a month to grow my hair back in, so I tracked it and I took some pictures, so that'll be linked for you as well. So that'll be the next thing. If you have pulled your hair out, you want to make sure your scalp is nice and healthy. The next thing you want to do is, once it's nice and healthy, to make sure that you use quality products. I mean, there's 1,000,001 things that you can use on your hair and use on your scalp, but you want to make sure that when you're using the formulas, that they're good for your hair, they're good for your scalp, they're good for your body, because everything is connected. Whatever you put on your scalp, the rest of your body is going to get a dose of it, because that's just how our bodies are created. And so you want to make sure that you're using quality product formulas, like a Dr. TopicOils formula is quality, of course. So yeah, I would recommend that. So that's for someone that has tension alopecia. Your hair should come back in. Like I said, you'll start to see some ground cover at about 30 to 45 days. And then you'll start to see it fully, like completely fill in, maybe about 3 months or so. So just be patient, follow the directions that when you purchase the Dr. TopicOils Alopecia Repair Balm Growth Kit, when you get the instructions, follow the instructions, and we're here for you, of course, if you have any questions about that. With alopecia is a little bit more difficult to treat, because when you start to experience alopecia, if you don't start to treat alopecia as soon as you see it, it's very difficult to treat long term. So any dermatologist, any hair person, any trichologist, any cosmetologist can tell you, if you've had alopecia for 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, it's very, very difficult to treat. So it's so important for you to make sure that you're paying attention to your scalp. And as soon as you see a lesion, or you see a little area that doesn't have hair, as soon as you notice it, start to research and talk to someone about what you can do about it. What will happen is, over time, that little small area that might be just the size of the top of a pen or eraser, over time it will start to spread outwardly. And so the next time you look at it, it might be the size of a nickel. The next time you look at it, it could be the size of a quarter. And then over time, it just gets larger and larger. And as that bald spot starts to spread or get wider and wider, some people have what's called scarring alopecia. So the top of where the hair would normally come out of it will scar over, and you'll have scarring on top of that. When you have scarring alopecia, it's almost impossible for that hair to come back. You know, there are some treatments I think that are out there through a medical office that can do like hair transplantation to take hair from the back of your head and put it at the, you know, in those areas where the alopecia is most severe. But, you know, just as far as like a natural way to treat it, you want to make sure that you start to treat it as soon as you see any of those spots. So I would recommend is if you see an area, don't overlook it. Don't say, oh, you know, I'm not going to pay attention to it, or I'm just going to pull my hair up over it. I'm just going to tuck it behind this area, or I'll get some topic to put on it. You know, when you start to ignore it and you overlook it, it can be 2 or 3 years. And then when you finally say, hey, I want to do something about it, the time could have passed. The most opportune time could have passed for you to do something about it and to try to treat it and to regrow your hair. So I always say, make sure you're taking a look at your scalp. Make sure that you are looking at what your scalp looks like, and if there are any lesions or any small bald spots, that you immediately start to look into ways to treat that. If you do have the alopecia, it's the same thing that we use for the tension alopecia can also be used for the little lesions that you have of alopecia, like alopecia areata. If you see those lesions really early, you can use that same kit, the Dr. TopicOils Alopecia Repair Balm Growth Kit. You can use that same kit, and they have instructions there for those who have alopecia versus those that have alopecia areata versus those that have tension alopecia. So just, you know, follow the instructions that are listed there for you. For male pattern baldness, I think, you know, as soon as you start to see your hair start to thin, you definitely want to start doing something about it. And there's one that's called Nutritive Scalp Elixir. It is a serum, a very concentrated serum, and it also comes with scalp detox, also comes with a derma roller and a scalp massager. Those can be used when you're starting to see larger areas on your scalp that are balding. We're here to help. We're so happy that you're here to interact with us and for us to share information with you. We really are excited about sharing ways that you can keep your hair healthy and keep your scalp healthy. And in this video here, talking about the best way that you can treat bald spots and the best way that you can manage and try to grow those bald spots in. Again, this is Dr. Dwellamo Nelson. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.